I think the biggest attribute is the hard work and the dedication, because 6 months after having a baby, you can't just give that to natural talent, right?
Today, we learned from Femita about how she manages being a mom of 2 under 2 and a 3-time Paralympic athlete still fully training, how being a mother is, and being strong as a mother is all about understanding that, yes, you might be tired, but you really can do it all. And I would say her proving that the timelines that were put on us are fully meant to be redefined. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning into our May Motherhood Focus for Flame Bearers. I'm very excited to introduce a powerhouse athlete from my own personal sport, track and field, although she's a sprinter, but I don't want to spoil it. Femita Ayenbeku. She is a 3-time Paralympian who didn't even start running until into her 20s. She's a world bronze medalist and has competed at the 2016, 2020, and 2024 Summer Paralympics. She found out she was pregnant 3 to 4 weeks after the national trials and ended up qualifying for Paris Paralympics just 6 months after giving birth to her daughter, which is incredible. Now she's balancing life as an elite sprinter and a devoted mom of 2, under 2. Proving that speed takes on a whole new meaning when there's a toddler involved. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's really, really so cool to get to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so this impressed me so much, and I want our listeners to hear from you. Your wild career trajectory. You started running in 2015. And you made your first Paralympic team just like 7 months later. So can you tell us about that start to your running career?
Yes. So I got a running blade donated to me back in 2015 through OSER and the Challenge Athletes Foundation. And I just fell in love with running. The goal was never to be a professional athlete, but I just felt so grateful for the gift that had been given to me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this thing. I don't know where, I don't know how, but like, I just wanted to learn how to use it. And so when I met my coach, he was like, as often as you want to train, like I'll work with you. And I wanted to learn. And so I went back 5 days a week for the next 6 months, and we did a few local competitions. And I guess he saw something in me that I didn't, because he was like, I want to put you in some competitions. And the first competition I ever ran, I remember I was so upset because I didn't win. And he was like, this was the first race you've ever done ever in life. And I stumbled coming out of the blocks. It was like a whole hot mess. But he was really proud. And we just continued after that and going to my first Paralympic race in June. That was the trials for Rio. And I qualified and I won. And it was uphill from there.
Not just qualified, won, and you made it in 2 events, the 100 and the 200 on you're a sprinter, so I guess you know how to do things fast, but I just find that such an incredible and inspiring story, and that turnaround time. I think it speaks to so many things, your natural talent, your work ethic, that team around you. And I guess it makes me also want to talk about another place where you've kind of redefined speed, because you in Paris, you made the team 6 months postpartum with your first child. And so I know you've spoken about this in some other wonderful interviews, but I'd love for you to share with our listeners that journey of finding out you were pregnant, what was it, like the year prior in 2023, and committing yourself to making that Paris team, what that was like, and then also being in Paris as a new mom with a little baby and kind of that experience as well.
Yeah. I honestly, I reflect back on those 2 moments when I first started running and then qualifying for Paris after, because like you said, everyone was like, oh, natural talent. And I do believe it was natural talent, but I think the biggest attribute is the hard work and the dedication, because 6 months after having a baby, you can't just give that to natural talent, right?
No. There's nothing. I mean, having a baby might be natural, but like trying to juggle that as a pro athlete is very much not a natural state of being.
So it was really just a self-revolutionizing moment for me, honestly, because up until Paris, I've been just training for each games, and I feel like there was an obstacle every single time. Going into Rio, that was the first games that I had ever went to, and I only had been running for 6 months prior to that.
Wild.
And then going into Tokyo, I had COVID I tested positive for COVID going into
and you
Tokyo.
Didn't get to do the final.
Yeah. So then, going into Paris, I had a baby 6 months ago. But
that can't stop you.
It does not. And, every time I think about those obstacles, I'm like, and I still kept going. And so thinking about Paris and just knowing that I was able to put in the work, put in the time, because I started training. I was training throughout my whole pregnancy. And then I started training 4 weeks after I gave birth. And everybody thought I was crazy. They were like, are you sure you're going to nationals? I'm like, I'm going to show up. At the very least, I'm going to show up. And that was just, And
you won. And you won at national.
And I won. I claimed my 8th national champion. My 8th national championship. So yes, that was great.
Wow. That's incredible. I love, you said in one interview, like, the days will pass no matter what. So tackle them one day at a time. Like, I think that speaks to the work ethic you were mentioning, right? That days are hard and busy, just period, training as an athlete. You add in a baby and now 2 babies, and it becomes that much more complicated. But I love your mental approach, it seems, of one of just like, I'm going to make the most of each of these days that I have. And the results, I mean, they're just speaking for themselves.
Thank you.
What was it like being a mom, first-time mom with a little baby? Because if I read correctly and saw correctly, you had sort of your village came with you to sort of support. But how did you manage the logistics of the village, if you stayed in it, what you did? Like, what was that like behind the scenes?
Honestly, it was amazing. It was a lot smoother than I anticipated. This was the first time ever that they had a nursery in the village. So my husband and my daughter were able to come into the village. They were able to see. I was able to breastfeed, and I had so much wiggle room, so much freedom to kind of go back and forth so that I could continue nursing. Because that was really important to me. And just being able to have my husband there, it was amazing, honestly. I feel like that was the lightest that I've ever felt going into a days, because I didn't have that stress, and I felt really just right about it, honestly. It was amazing.
I feel like I've spoken to so many mothers where the path has been felt like it had so many hurdles. It makes me so joyful to hear that you were able to have an experience where some of those obstacles were taken out of the way so that you could be a mom and the incredible athlete that you are, and go and focus on competing rather than worrying about having to choose. Because I've also heard you say in an interview, motherhood comes first. Like, if you have to choose, and I relate to this so much. I'm a mother of 2. If you have to choose, like, you're gonna choose your little baby. But we've seen time and again, when you create a path for athlete moms to excel, like, they surprise so many. Just to say, that makes me so happy to hear.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, another thing we were digging into a little before we went on air, but I want to make sure we create space for in our conversation is, when it comes to the media and storytelling about you or about just athletes in general, regardless of their sport, regardless of what games they're competing in, rather than focusing on your disability, what are the things that the media could be including in your story?
How good I am? No.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I think it's really like, it's always supposed to be a full picture. Every athlete, whether they have a disability or not, has a story. They have a story of how they came to be an athlete, their training regimen, all of that stuff. We all have that story. And then we have our personal lives. And so I think it's just important, especially for us as Paralympic athletes. People are always drawn to our stories. They want to know how we came to be disabled. Some are born this way and some, have tragedies in their lives. But I think that's really important because it does show people that they can overcome adversity.
Yes.
But it's also important to understand that the work that I put in is not any less than any other athlete. And I think that's the part that the media needs to focus on, that I have a disability, but I work just as hard. I'm not taking the easy way out. It's not, you don't see me with the disability and say, oh, maybe she's only training twice a week because she has a disability. No, I'm still training 6-7 days a week, and I'm doing all of the same stuff. So I think it's just important. It's important to highlight the stories, but it's important to also remember that we're equal athletes. We're the top athletes just as much as any top athlete there is in the world.
Well, and I even saw on Instagram you were showing yourself practicing starts, and your blade came off during the start. I mean, that's not something that an Olympic athlete would have to even be thinking about. And so when you talk about how hard you have to work, also adding in this awareness that you're having to tackle complications or gear issues that others don't have to think through, and taking it a step further, are there ways to rethink the gear that we're using, the products that exist, to better serve you? And maybe they're as great as they can be, or maybe there's room to improve, but without conversations about what it's really like to be training your training environment and your training needs, how are we ever going to continue to improve? Okay, last one before we go into rapid fire. This is a fun one that just makes me nostalgic thinking for your own little kids. But you mentioned, your purpose has become greater now that you're a mom. And when you think about your little kiddos, watching videos of you, or even, I know you bring them to the track so they see you at the track, but as they watch Mama do what she does so well, what do you want them to think, or what do you want them to take away?
That's a great question. Because people always ask me like, oh, do you want them to run track? And I'm like, I want them to do whatever their heart desires. Of course, track would be amazing, but whatever their heart desires. But I just want them to be proud, honestly. And because I feel like being a child and seeing your parents and you being able to be proud of them and just look up to them, it puts a fire inside of you, whether it's you wanting to get onto that same path. It just puts a fire and you're like, I'm going to chase whatever my dreams are. And we actually went to the track today. My husband came with my daughters, and I was pushing off. I was doing starts out of the blocks, and she is the cutest thing. I can't wait to post this video because she stands and she'll hike her back foot up and she'll say, ready, set. It's the cutest thing. And then she tried to get into the blocks after I pushed out off. Oh my gosh, it's just so amazing.
Oh my gosh.
So I just love seeing that. I love that she's really taking after me. And again, whether it's track or any other sport, whatever it is, I just want to fully support her. But I know her seeing me do this is definitely going to put a fire inside of her to want to chase her dreams too.
Yeah. Okay, rapid fire questions. Some of them may not be the most rapid answers, but tell us what you feel like telling. Okay, maybe this one's simple. What is one word you would use to describe motherhood?
Eventful.
Oh, I love it. Okay. How do you mother? Is it more gut or is it more plan?
Plan.
Plan? Me too. Okay. Is there any advice that you got either before becoming a mom or in your motherhood journey that you wish you had just ignored sooner, that you're like, oh, actually, I don't need to listen to that?
Being so nitpicky about every little thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're a kid. Just go be a kid. I don't have to, chase up behind you, because that was me very early on. But I've learned to relax.
You're like, I want to plan it all, but there's some things I don't need to plan.
Yes, I've learned to relax.
Perfect. And maybe so then maybe that feeds into our next one, but pre-mom Femita, what would you tell her? Before when you were pregnant, or even before that, what would you tell her now, looking back?
I would tell myself, you have all the time in the world. I used to think I was busy before I had kids, and now I'm like, oh, now I'm going to the track with 2 kids, and then I have to figure out how to lift, and then I have to recover, and then I still have to take care of you guys at the end of the day. And before I had kids, I had a dog, and I thought that was the hardest thing.
You're so right. Isn't that like time? Like you measure time in like seconds and minutes once you become a mother, and beforehand you're like, at least for me, like, I'll read a book for an hour before bed, no problem.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, and then the last question, the phrase "strong as a mother," what does that mean to you?
Strong as a mother means to me, I know it means you can do it all. There are days where I'm like, I can't believe I did all of this today. And tired. You're always tired. You're just always tired. So you have to be able, strong as a mother means you can do it all.
Yes. And you're proving it. I love it because you're proving it. Okay, well, I would love to talk to you more. I think that's all the time we have. So I just want to, kind of close out by reflecting, Femita, on the fact that you've spent your kind of life and career redefining timelines, whether it be, starting sport to making your first Paralympic team or having your first child and qualifying by winning the trials for the Paris Paralympics. As I reflect on you, I just see this woman who's a world-class sprinter and also a world-class mom. And I just want to thank you for letting us get a chance to learn from you. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you highlighting my story and just taking the time to talk to me. So,
yeah. So it's one that we all can be inspired by, which reminds me, can you tell our listeners where they can follow your journey?
You can follow me at Femita Ayenbeku on Instagram. I do need to change it soon because my last name is Bradley, but just haven't gotten to change.
Congrats.
But thank you very much. Femita Ayenbeku on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Thanks, everyone. Join us next Wednesday